Imagine this, 66 million years ago, the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs missed Earth by just a little. The dinosaurs never went extinct, and 66 million years later, meaning today, which species would be ruling the planet? Not humans, but the descendants of a tiny creature that was the smartest dinosaur of its time. Its name was Troodon. This is Troodon, and don't let the name fool you. It's not some massive, terrifying dinosaur. It only stands about as tall as a 10-year-old kid, roughly 4 to 4.5 feet, weighing around 110 pounds. From a distance, it kind of looks like a rooster, but a rooster on superhero mode. First, the brain. Troodon had the largest brain relative to body size in the entire dinosaur world. If you look at its EQ, basically a measure of relative intelligence, Troodon scores around 5 to 6 AT. Rex barely hits 2, and modern crocodiles sit at about 1. In other words, this thing was almost as smart as today's crows or parrots, while most other dinosaurs were still stuck in eat when hungry, sleep when full mode. Second, the eyes. 2 golden orbs, almost the size of tennis balls, with incredible stereoscopic vision. Kind of like an owl, it could spot a tiny lizard sprinting 50 meters away in the darkness. Third, the hands. 3 long, flexible fingers with curved claws, but still capable of grasping like a monkey's. Scientists have found evidence suggesting they use their hands to dig, and even use sticks to probe into insect nests, a behavior we only see today in New Caledonian crows and chimpanzees. And finally, they hunted in coordinated packs. Fossils show entire groups attacking a larger dinosaur, with some acting as decoys while others flanked around to bite at the heels. To put it bluntly, Troodon was the SAS Special Forces of the Cretaceous. Paleontologist Dale Russell once said a famous line, "If the asteroid hadn't hit 66 million years later, the species ruling the Earth wouldn't be us, but the descendants of this small, clever creature with those blazing yellow eyes." And they got a head start on humans. 80 million years. The first 2 million years after the asteroid missed, almost nothing changed. Small Troodon packs were still darting through the forests. But then, survival pressure started to kick in. 10 million years passed. They grew a bit taller, about 5 feet 3 inches to 5 feet 6 inches. Their tails got shorter to help balance while standing upright longer. That tiny 4th toe nearly disappeared. Now they could stand still for hours, observing, thinking, kind of like how our ancestors once stood up to see farther across the savannah. In another 20 to 30 million years, their brains began to swell for real, growing from the size of a chicken egg to that of a small grapefruit. Hypothetical fossils suggest they had learned to use long sticks to dig into termite mounds, even snapping branches to craft crude spears. There were neatly arranged stone circles, something that looked like the first cemeteries. They had learned to feel sorrow when one of their own died. "40 to 50 million years later, this was when everything began to speed up. The prefrontal cortex surged in development, the region responsible for planning and imagination. They carved spirals and sun shapes onto cliff walls. Some scientists even call this the Stone Age of the dinosaurs. And most importantly, they started teaching their young knowledge was passed from one generation to the next, the clearest sign of culture. As 60 million years in, fire was finally tamed. Not by rubbing sticks together, their hands weren't built for that, but by bringing flint and pyrite back to their caves and striking them to spark a flame. Fire, cooking, further brain growth, an evolutionary feedback loop that exploded in speed. And then, exactly 66 million years after that fateful day, meaning today, a completely new species emerged on Earth. Future paleontologists would name them the Orans, meaning the ones who carry the golden light, inspired by their golden eyes and shimmering coats. They were no longer Troodon. They had become a true civilization, one with complex language, one with cities, one with science, and one with an unbroken 66 million year history. 66 million years with no nuclear wars, no mass extinctions, no ice ages. Just one single evolutionary line, steady, uninterrupted, relentless, and today they stand at their peak. Don't picture them as those old movie lizard men, green, scaly, awkwardly standing on two legs. Not even close. They look more like giant birds, so breathtakingly beautiful that you'd freeze in place if you ever saw one in real life. They stand about 6 to 6.5 feet tall. Their bodies are slim, light, and perfectly balanced, like elite swimmers. Their entire form is covered in fine, iridescent feathers that shimmer like mother of pearl. These feathers shift colors constantly as they communicate, much like an octopus changing the hue of its skin. A sentence that would take us several seconds to speak takes them only 2 or 3 seconds of color shifting. They have no teeth and no lips, only a glossy, curved black beak, sharp yet elegant as if sculpted by hand. Inside is an ultra-fast tongue that produces sounds so complex that to human ears, it registers only as a soft whirring, like wind passing by. Their arms reach all the way down to their knees, ending in 3 black-clawed fingers. Far more dexterous than human hands, they can weave an entire net using just those 3 fingers in a matter of minutes. Their tails are short, reduced to a single fan of large feathers that helps them balance during long leaps. They don't live on the ground. The ground is still ruled by wild T-Rexes, giant triceratops, and countless other massive predators that never went extinct. Instead, they chose to live atop ancient trees that rise hundreds of meters into the sky, far larger than today's California redwoods. Their cities hang suspended among the crowns, almost like Pandora from Avatar. Bridges are spun from natural biosilk, and their homes grow straight out of the still living trunks. Electric lights? They cultivate bioluminescent fungi inside hanging globes, far more beautiful than our LEDs. Transportation? Vast leaf-shaped airships that glide gently through the forest layers. Look up from the forest floor and you'd see thousands of shimmering lights drifting through the night. That's their city. They don't walk the way we do. They launch, then glide. From branches 100 meters high, a single push of their legs sends their slender bodies shooting into open air. Their feathers flare like living parachutes, their tails fan out as rudders, and their long arms fine-tune the angle of their descent. They can glide hundreds of meters in absolute silence, so light that even the leaves don't stir. Then they land on another branch on the tips of their toes without a sound. Launch, glide, land, launch again. From a distance, they look like a swarm of rainbow shooting stars dancing between the layers of the forest. A city that never touches the ground, a civilization with no need for concrete, and a species that never has to set foot on the earth. And what about us humans? In that world, we still appear, but a full 60 million years later. With no asteroid to end their reign, the dinosaurs continued to dominate, forcing the primate line, our ancestors, to hide in the shadows far longer, evolving at a much slower pace. When Homo sapiens finally emerged, learning to stand upright, to grip sticks, to make simple tools, the Orans had already reached the moon, Mars, and even built colonies beyond the solar system. To them, we would be something like gorillas or chimpanzees in a modern zoo. A somewhat clever, endearing animal, but nowhere near an equal. A few humans were taken in by the orans and kept as pets. They housed us in enormous glass gardens, fed us sweet fruit, and taught us simple tricks, like painting or making music. Orange children loved to stroke our coarse hair and giggled whenever we tried to mimic their songs. Others lived wild beneath the forest canopy, keeping their distance from the cities above. We wandered the ground, scavenging bits of fallen technology from damaged energy spheres or broken airships. A discarded piece of bio-battery could become a precious treasure, something we'd use to warm ourselves or light our caves. But we never dared look up for too long, for fear of being taken. In Oran history, humanity is only a small chapter. A tiny, slow primate species, but remarkably resilient. They studied us the way we study monkeys today, with a kind of gentle pity, not fear. Lucky for us, the asteroid struck when it did. Otherwise, we'd be nothing more than scavengers at the feet of gods. In that world, there was a story whispered among the remaining human tribes beneath the forest.
Great shadow moves in the high
One
branches.
day, a few
We must
human
stay low
scientists,
by the
the
fire.
smartest among our kind, found a strange object that had fallen from above. A small box of metal and glass, old and moss-covered. It took them months to figure out how to turn it on. When the screen finally lit up, it played the very video you're watching right now, in this exact moment. A female Oran appeared, her feathers silver white, her golden eyes gentle, smiling softly like a mother soothing her child. She spoke in an ancient human tongue, slowly so we could understand.
Hello, little primates. We knew that sooner or later you would find this phone. We left it here as a final gift. You are very charming, very resilient. But you were, unfortunately, 66 million years behind us. Don't be sad. In the countless universes out there, there is one where the asteroid falls at just the right moment, and you become the dominant species. But here, we simply want to say thank you for giving us the stage.
And next time a crow watches you a little too long in the park, don't shoo it away. It's not hungry, it's just checking whether you're the lucky one in this universe. Good thing the asteroid fell when it did, right? Before the screen goes dark, if you're still here, it means you're just as curious as I am about what could have been. So leave a comment. Which species do you think would have ruled the Earth if the asteroid never fell? Hit like, share, and subscribe if you want to keep diving into these eerie what-ifs with me. And now, let's sleep well, survivor of the lucky universe.